Desperado, why don't you come to your senses? You've been out riding fences for so long now.
Hey, it's Nate with another piano tutorial. Today I'm doing Desperado by the Eagles. This is a beautiful, classic piano ballad. I have an important note though about this video. I'm gonna try to be really thorough and accurate to the recording because some of you will be looking for that and none of it is super advanced to play. But if you're just trying to get up and running with a cover of this ASAP, there's some details you can totally ignore. Specifically, the same chords are played in different inversions or slightly differently from one verse to another. It's fun to geek out on the little differences, but you could totally just learn the first verse and play the other verses the same way. And most people listening to you play won't even notice. But if you do want all those details, they're all here in this video. Anyway, let's jump in. Okay, so I recommend you look at the chords and lyrics chart. There's a link down in the description. That'll help you follow along and see where the chords and lyrics line up with each other. I'm gonna start with the intro. That's the There are, of course, underlying chords here. This is what the underlying chords look like, but it's a really melodic part, and I'm just going to teach it to you here, note by note. Here are the first two measures of right hand notes, and before the first measure even starts, there's this lone G. That's a pickup note. You can think, we're in 4/4 time, so we'll think 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so that G hits on the and after 4 as we begin the first full measure. And that measure starts with 1, G, and B. Notice there's a little asterisk on that B. So for the ones with the asterisk on it, you can do a little grace note on just the B flat or whatever note is right below that note. So, and then we've got D, B again. So with that pickup note G, now we've got this cool chord here. So we keep the B, but we go down to an F and an E. I kind of like doing that 1, 2, 5 for the fingers. And then we've got D, B, G. So everything so far. You can kind of pop your thumb up there to hit that G. One more time just for the rhythm of it. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, now we've got C and E. The E has that asterisk, so you can do that little grace note on the E flat, and then kind of a similar thing here. G, E, 1 and 2, and then we've got here what's really like a C minor 6 chord. C, E flat, A, G. Again. We can ignore that last G for a second. Let's add the left hand notes. So we're going to be playing an octave lower with the left hand here, and it just lines up on. So then G again on this cool chord. Then we're going to come down to C for. This G at the end here is the right hand moving an octave lower to this G on the and after 4, and because that's going to lead into the next two measures. So we can pop that in, and then here are the next two measures. It starts out just like the first two measures did really, except for we're an octave lower here. Let's just focus on the right hand though. So we've got the B and G, D, B. Now this chord is going to be a little different than before. G, B, E, so it's an inversion of an E minor chord. D, G, and B again. And then for the next measure, we do the B and G again. A, G, again, 1 and 2, and then we land on this root position D major chord, D, F sharp, and A. With the left hand, come down here to E, up to A, D, and then a low D here. And when you get to that part, you can kind of let it drag out a little bit. You don't have to stick with the tight counting. I'm gonna play that whole intro one more time, a little bit slow, and then we can move on to the verse.
Desperado.
Okay, so here's the chords for the verse. Starts out with a G major chord. I'm doing an inversion on a G major chord with D, G, and B here. This is middle C right here for the octave, by the way. And then my left hand first finger is on this G down here. And throughout the song, we're gonna be doing a bunch of different inversions of that G. So we've got G for 2 counts because it's half the measure. I'm just gonna do quarter notes. So like G, 2, then this G9, 2. You're basically playing a D minor in the right hand, D, F, A, while keeping that G bass note. So desperado, 2, 3. Why don't you? Okay, coming down here to a C major chord, just a root position, C, E, G, down on my 5th finger here. Come to your senses. So that is the same C minor 6 chord shape we did in the intro with C, E flat, and A. Senses. Okay, we've got another G, but this time we're gonna invert it like this. So before we did it like that, we're just taking that B down here. B, D, G, and then again on this G here. So our hands are getting kind of close here. G, 2, E minor 7. So E minor 7 is a G chord with an E bass note, if you want to think of it like that. So all we have to do here is move to this E for the bass note. We're gonna come down all the way here for an A7. That's gonna be G, A, C sharp, and E with the A bass note for 2 counts. And then this D7, I'm going to a low D bass note. So A, C, D, and F sharp for that. One more time on that first line. Desperado, why don't you come to your senses? You've been out riding fences for so long now. Oh, you're a hard one. Okay, so we're in the next line here. We're gonna start right off the bat with that lower inversion of the G, the second one we did. This time we're doing a lower G bass note. And now, this is where it gets weird. The chord that is in this place in the chord progression is different almost every time in this song. So this time I'm calling it a G9 sus4. All you gotta do is take the bottom 2 notes of your right hand and just move them down a white key each. So it's gonna be A, C, and G. Oh, you're a hard one. I know that. Okay, you could do this C in the C minor 6 the same way we did in the last line, but they do it a lower inversion. G, C, and E. You've got your reasons. So it's just an inversion of what we did before. A, C, and E flat. This next measure is really cool. These things that are pleasing you. So we've got a G over D. Same G that we have just been doing, but with a D in the left hand. And then we've got this B over D sharp. So B, D sharp, and F sharp with a D sharp in the left hand. And then this E minor 7. So we go right back to the same G shape, but of course with the E bass note. The dash at the end of the measure means another count of the E minor 7. So it's 1 count for the first 2 chords, 2 counts for the second. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we've got this A7 to D7. We've done both those chords, although this time for the D7, we're going to do this octave instead of the low one that we did in the first line. And this is a measure of 2/4 time. So it's just 2 counts here. 1, 2, before we're gonna land on G. Another inversion. This time, for the first time, it's just a root position, G, B, D. And we're gonna do 1, 2, step down to D over F sharp. So that's F sharp, A, and D, stepping down to F sharp here. That's gonna, of course, be leading us into the chorus. Draw the queen of diamonds. It's a little high for my voice. Let me play that whole second line one more time. Oh, you're a hard one. I know that you got your reasons. These things that are pleasing you can hurt you somehow. Cool. We're ready for the chorus. So we start out with a E minor 7. Once again, it's a G chord in the right hand with the left hand doing an E bass note. But this time we're doing that root position, G, B, D here. Draw the queen of diamonds, boy. So here's a B minor 7. We got A, B, D, and F sharp. 1, 2, 3, 5 for the fingers. Coming up here to this B bass note. Then we've got 2 counts of C, 2. This is that lower inversion, G, C, E. 1, 2. Then to finish this measure off, we've got G, that sort of middle inversion with the B in the bottom. 1. And then we've got this G over F sharp. We're gonna hit that F sharp in the left hand while keeping that same G chord in the right hand. So that's, again, draw the queen of diamonds, boy. She'll beat you if she's able. And there is some extra rhythm and notes you can do in the left hand. This is totally optional, but throughout especially in the chorus, I'm going to be playing on some eighth notes like 1, 2, and 3, 4. And then there's these nice little tricks where it goes and 1. So leading into the C, you can play a little G. And then leading into the G chord, you can come up here to a D, which is the fifth of the G chord, and do and 1, 2. So again, I'm gonna do 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4. Okay, let's keep going. We're gonna go back to the E minor 7, same way we did it, up to C, to G. So this is that higher G, and they do this higher inversion of the D over F sharp. So the top and bottom notes are going to step down to an A and F sharp, A, D, F sharp, stepping down to the F sharp here. You could totally do this the same way we did leading into the chorus with the root position G, but it does go up to those higher inversions there, which do sound a little brighter. So moving right along, next line starts very similar. That's going to be, now it seems to me some fine things. I noticed that this time they do add a high E to that E minor 7, but you certainly don't have to. Me some fine things. I'm going to do the have been laid upon your table. Okay. Now we've got another E minor 7. This time I'm just going to keep my right hand where it was on that higher G inversion. B, D, G. And then up to the A7. Well, the left hand goes up, right hand goes down. Same way we've done it. Now we've got this C over D. So you can do that lower inversion of the C major chord in the right hand while doing D bass notes in the left hand. I might even do octaves there just to make it more dramatic. And then D7 for the second half of that measure. So 1, 2, and Desperado. That's of course leading into the second verse. One thing I forgot to mention, on the D over F sharp at the end of the first line, I'm gonna just pulse eighth notes on the left hand. 3 and 4, and it mimics the cello on the recording and it's kind of fun. So here it is. Don't you draw the queen of diamonds, boy. She'll beat you if she's able. You know the queen of hearts is always your best bet. Now it seems to me have been laid upon your table, but you only want the ones you can get. Desperado. So yeah, let's look at verse 2 now. Okay, so here are the chords for verse 2. It's similar to verse 1, and like I said, you could just play verse 2 like we did verse 1. But there are some different details that I'm going to go over. So it does start out with that higher G inversion here, just like the first verse did, but I'm going to play a lower bass note here. Desperado, oh, you ain't. So for this G9 sus4, instead of doing it like that, we're gonna do FAC here. Desperado, oh, you ain't. So notice that this next measure, instead of the C to C minor 6, it says C and then another C with a little asterisk. This is what it's gonna sound like. Really cool. So you're gonna go to the lower inversion of the C here. Getting no younger, and then on beat 3 of that measure, you hit that C again, and then the left hand bass notes and the top note in the right hand are just gonna step down twice. 3, 4, and so on the 8th notes. And then we're gonna land on this root position G, and we've got the G, D over F sharp, E minor 7, very similar to how we walked down into the first chorus. Your pain and your hunger, they're driving you. So A7, just like we've had it. And then this is another C over D moment. You could totally do it like this, home. But this is the only time in the song they voice it like this. They do the D down here, and it's this lower C inversion, E, G, and C. And then there's just this little melody. 3, 4, and on G, E. The next line is going to be, and freedom, oh, freedom. So this is, again, unique. We've got a G with the root position, G, B, D. Then for the G9, we're going to step the bottom 2 notes down. And then on beat 4, just play a C. It's a little melodic moment. Oh, freedom. Well, that's just some people talking, just like above. Okay, this part's cool. Your prison is walking through this. So we've got G, root position, stepping down to this inversion of a B7 over F sharp. It's gonna be F sharp, A, B, and D sharp there. You could totally just do the D over F sharp, but you do hear that D sharp in the recording there. Gives it a little lift. Walking through this world all alone. So just like before. And then G. This G has a little asterisk on it because I'm going to do this little arpeggio moment that sounds like this. 1, 2, E, and a 3, 4. So on 16th note starting on beat 2, 2, E, and a, you're gonna play fifths in the left hand, G, D, and then just the bottom 2 notes of the right hand chord, G, B. Cool, I'll play through that whole verse. Desperado, oh, you ain't getting no younger. Your pain and your hunger, they're driving you home. And freedom, oh, freedom, well, that's just some people talking. Your prison is walking through this world all alone. Don't your feet get cold? Okay, so we're on the next chorus. Here's the chords for that. Really similar to the first chorus, but just some weird little differences I want to point out. Don't your feet get cold in the wintertime? Just like before, you can do the sky won't snow and the sun won't shine. For this B minor over F sharp, Before we just step down the left hand F sharp here, this time the right hand G also steps down to the F sharp. And then back to E minor 7. It's hard to tell the nighttime from the day. So this time it just actually stays on that G, the higher end version, the whole measure. 1 day, 2, 3, 4. You're losing all your... Once again, I'm going to add that high E there to the voicing. Your highs and lows. Ain't it funny how the feeling goes? Okay, this part's a little different. This is going to be the away. Desperado. So we've got this A minor 7. I'm going to do the root position C chord in my right hand with the left hand doing the A bass note. And then for the C over D, you can do the same thing in the right and just go up to D here. Sounds good to add octaves. And then come down to that D7 just like we've been doing it. So the rhythm here, here's the counts. We've got 16th notes. On beat 1, we're gonna play the left hand bass note, but then 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. And then you can also hit 4. I kind of like doing some left hand hits there, like 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. 4. Then same thing for the C over D. 1 E and a 2 E. And on beat 3 is the D7, 4, and on the and after 4 you can just hit an F sharp there leading in. So let me just play those few measures a couple more times. Away. Desperado. Let's look at that third verse. Here's the chords for that. We're gonna start just like we did the last verse, with this G here. Desperado. Now, there's a little asterisk on this G9. We're gonna go up to the FAC just like last time, but in this verse, there's this nice little stepping up bass line thing that I think is worth doing. 1, 2, 3, 4. So just stepping up on A and B on beats 3 and 4, then down to C. So just like the first verse there with the C minor 6. But if you want to add the little guitar melody, that's really nice there. It's just D, C, A, come to your senses, 3, 4, E, and, so 16th notes. Now we've got G, D over F sharp, E minor 7, the same way it's come up a few times. Then we've got A7, to D7, just like we've been doing in other places. So now a similar thing here, but we are, like most of the verses, starting the second line with that lower G down here, but the walk up is gonna be the exact same. We're gonna do 1, 2, hop up to that FAC, 3, 4, then you can do this the same way again. If you wanna add the ba-da-da, you can. Okay, this part is really cool. We're coming kind of towards the climax of the song here. We've got a G, D over F sharp to E minor 7, and of course you can do it the way we've been doing it, but they do these higher end versions. So coming all the way up here, so that's the G that we've been starting a lot of the verses with. D over F sharp with a root position F sharp here. You could do octaves here if you want it to sound a little bit more powerful. I think that's nice. And then of course the E here coming right back to that D, G, B. Of course that's, you better let somebody love you. And then we've got, let somebody love you. So this is a higher inversion of C than we have done yet. We've got E, G, and C up here. Yeah, I'm doing octaves. You can pick what sounds best for your left hand here, but we're doing C, stepping down to G over B, and that's that inversion of G we've been doing a lot. And then when we get to the A minor 7, of course we're doing the A bass notes here, but it's the same as that C inversion we were doing. Let somebody love you. And I like 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 5 for that. Really smooth. Let somebody love you better. So this is just like what we had in the first verse. Let somebody love you. Or you could just do single bass notes. Let somebody love you. The time breaks down here. Kind of slow down, drag it out. This part's really cool. I keep saying that. There's a lot of really cool piano harmony moments in this song. Before it's two. So calling this an A minor 7, add 4. It's going to be an A, D, G, C. Before it's two. If you wanted to just do the D7 there, before it's two, that sounds a little bit more normal, but this is what I hear on the recording. Before it's two. And this is where we land in the outro whenever you're ready. So we'll talk about that in a second, but first let me just play through that final verse one more time. Desperado, why don't you come to your senses? Been out riding fences, open the gate. It may be raining, but there's a rainbow above you. Better let somebody love you. Let somebody love you. Better let somebody love you before it's too late. Okay, so let's just talk about the outro. It's basically just like the intro, but only the first half and with some slight variation. So here's the 2 measures of that. So far, that's the exact same as the intro. Only difference is I have my left hand an octave lower. So then I'm gonna come up to the C bass note in left hand and do. Okay, so this is where it's slightly different. We got G, G, C, and then end on that with the little grace note, G, G, B. So one more time. Before it's too late. And then the song is over. All right, thank you for watching. I know there was a lot of details there, but I'm gonna play the whole song all together now so you can see how everything fits together. Again, simplify it as much as you want. All the G9s and G9 sus4, you could just pick your favorite one of those voicings and do it the same way every time. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like. Also subscribe to the channel if you are not already, and click the bell so you know when I put out more videos just like this one. Okay, here's my version of Desperado. Desperado, why don't you come to your senses? You've been out riding fences for so long now. Oh, you're a hard one. I know that you got your reasons. These things that are pleasing you can hurt you somehow. Don't you draw the queen of diamonds, boy. She'll beat you if she's able. You know the queen of hearts is always your best bet. Now it seems to me some fine things have been laid upon your table, but you only want the ones that you can't get.
get desperado. Oh, you ain't getting no younger. Your pain and your hunger, they're driving you home. And freedom, oh freedom, well that's just some people talking. Your prison is walking through this world all alone. Don't your feet get cold in the wintertime? The sky won't snow and the sun won't shine. It's hard to tell the nighttime from the day. You're losing all your highs and lows. Ain't it funny how the feeling goes away? Desperado, why don't you come to your senses? Come down from your fences. Open the gate. It may be raining, but there's a rainbow above you. You better let somebody love you. Let somebody love you. Better let somebody love you before it's too late.